I wanted to talk today about dreams and what they mean, the purpose of them, and basically covering that topic. The reason I'm doing it is as an experiment of your own. Why don't you look on YouTube, check the internet, Google, research your spiritual books. You're going to find 1,000 different opinions of what dreams actually are and what they mean. This has been going on from the beginning of time. But here I'm going to offer you a completely different concept of what dreams really are. And as always, I'm doing the best I can to tell you the truth as it has been revealed to me from God. So it's not going to conform to other people's views of what dreams are. It's going to be unique. But it was unique when I first got it from God. It was unique to me. I was actually surprised. But to get into it a little deep right now, and it will get deep, there are multiple types of dreams. I'm specifically talking about nondescript dreams, meaning I'm talking about dreams that are just common everyday dreams. There are other kinds of dreams that are significantly different. They are important dreams that are not along the exact same lines. Those are visions, for instance. People have visions, and those visions are radical sometimes in their nature. And the person having the dream doesn't really know what it means. Sometimes they think they know what it means, but they never know exactly what it means. That's the point of a vision, is to force the person that has the dream to sacrifice their ego and their pride and ask another person, what does this mean? This was my dream. This is what was in my dream. I don't know that it has any meaning, but it is bizarre, and this is what it was. And if you happen to consult a person that is in touch with God, they will be able to interpret that dream. And when they do, it's instantaneous. And as soon as they interpret it, even though it had never occurred to you, you're going to accept it and go, wow, how did you come up with that? That's exactly what it means. I don't understand why I didn't come up with the meaning of that. That's a vision. That's what they're called. There's many reasons why you have to go to an interpreter or another person, but that would fill a volume of books. But suffice it to say, the purpose of that is to force humility upon the person that's having the vision, so that they might think that they are the greatest of all greats and this and that and everything else. Well, in fact, they can't even interpret their own damn dream, which should cause the person that had the vision to humble themselves. And likewise, the person that interprets the dream. The same thing. They didn't have the dream, and yet they feel the connection to God that they had a valid interpretation. The other kind, where you don't need help from another source, and I wonder if the reason you don't need help from another source is because maybe there's no other sources available that can interpret. So instead you get a dream that is classified as revelation. Now, revelation, it just occurred to me. In the Christian scriptures, they have the book of Revelations, and they're not even revelations, they're visions, because a revelation, the person having the revelation knows exactly what it means. And it's crystal clear what it means, every minute detail. It's like instantaneous knowledge is given to the person in their dream, and they know what it means. Whereas the book of Revelations, the author, whoever that was, they say John, but who the heck knows, he didn't give an interpretation of what it meant. So every individual that actually receives or reads the book of Revelations, they are privy to asking God to be an interpreter. And if they're able to interpret the book of Revelations, then they will be in contact with God and they will understand what it means. It might mean something different to different individuals. Interesting, isn't it? It's the book of Revelations are actually visions, not revelations. Oh well. Getting back to the topic of dreams. Just regular everyday dreams where you're flying through the air, or you're doing this or you're doing that, and I'm not even talking about lucid dreams. I'm talking about, although lucid dreams can fall into the same category as just regular dreams to a certain degree. So hopefully this blows your mind. It did mine. I'll say that. It surprised me what the meaning of dreams were. So hopefully it surprises you. So dreams are a fluid extension of your existing physical participation. So you're participating in this physical reality by accepting the offer, if you will, to be born as an infant, as a baby, to be born into existence on this plane of existence. And while you're here, it's assumed that you're learning things, it's assumed that you're growing and you're getting wiser, etc., etc. Well, that's only half of the scenario. That's only half of the equation. The other half is your dreams. So every day you're awake and you're doing things. Who knows what you're doing? Maybe you're an evil person doing evil things. Maybe you're a good person doing good things. Maybe you're studying, whatever. The bottom line is you're always struggling. Even Buddhists said life is, I don't think he said difficult, but life is miserable or something of that nature. Life is suffering. I think that's what he said. And so in your dreams, you don't necessarily suffer. In other words, you do not feel pain in your dreams. You may think you feel pain, but you don't. What I mean by that is exhaustion, for instance. In the physical world, you just get physically exhausted. I mean, it is a struggle to do hard work, or as you get older, your energy level is dropped and you're just so exhausted and everything, and you just want to lay down and everything. Well, in your dreams, you don't have those situations to deal with. Why? Because it's a non-physical reality, but it's an extension of your existing reality. In other words, they are connected to each other and they both serve a purpose. In other words, again, dreams, just regular random dreams, are not random. They're not chaotic. They're not of no great value. They're not for entertainment. None of these things are true. They don't have profound meanings of this or that or whatever. What it is an extension of this existing life. For instance, if you look at this reality as a coarseness, in other words, you could say most people in spiritual communities understand the concept of higher vibrations or lower vibrations, or that's the concept that they understand. Another way of putting it that is actually more accurate, my brother and I was discussing this, rather than looking at it as vibrations, it's better to look at it as coarseness. You know, like you got a boulder, and then you've got a rock, and then you've got a grain of sand, and then you've got a dust particle. So the coarsest existence that we are ever going to be in is this physical realm. And it's very coarse. In other words, you know what a sifter is. So if you have a sifter, this is how they make sand and gravel and everything. They might crunch it up, but the bottom line is it goes through a sifting process. And so you have fine sand over here, and then you've got gravel over here that's 1.5 inches and less, or 3/4 minus they call it, and then 1.5 inches minus, and then all the way up to boulders. Now, a boulder can only be in the realm of boulders. It can't go into the realm of sand. It will only go into the realm of boulders. Why? Because it's coarse. Now, you could call that a low vibration, for instance. It isn't. Vibration is not a good way of looking at it, because vibration is another aspect of this physical reality. In other words, vibrations are a digitized example of reality, but reality is not digitized, and that's what a vibration is. And so that's not accurate. It's more accurate to say coarse or fine. So you got boulders in boulder realm, and they can't go anywhere else. But the finest of the fine can be in any category it chooses to be in, and it can go between all categories. And the finer it gets, the more categories it can go into. But if it's as fine as a little piece of gravel, it can go all the way this direction, but it can't go that direction. And so the closer you're to becoming one with God, the finer you get, the smaller, the smaller, the smaller. And when you get to be one with God, how fine is that? It's called zero. It's the nothingness of Brahman. It is the finest of the fine, because it is zero. It is nothing. It can go anywhere, and it's not subject to time. So when you look at this realm, this physical realm that we exist in, that we wake up every morning and we're going, oh, this is reality. Oh, my arm hurts, or I'm tired, and you keep going, I'm, but it isn't you. It's the physical body that is the boulder. The physical body and your mentality and the way you think, your brain and everything, it's boulderized. And so you learn what you learn during the day. For instance, people try to you understand the concept of chastity. In other words, morally clean, or high morality. These terms I'm using are all connected to sex. And so a low concept is this physical body. What does this physical body want to do? Well, it wants to kill people. It wants to do this. It wants to have sex with everything. It's just a very animal, coarse being. That's what it is. But your spirit, your essence, is trying to control the urges of the physical body. And why is it trying to do that? Because it's making the spirit more stronger, more independent. The spirit is trying to become finer, a finer grain, a smaller. So when you go to bed at night and you dream, now you're confronted with similar situations that you had in this physical realm. Now there's a great difference between the two realms. Okay, one of the great differences is, and when I say one of, recognize it's one of, nevertheless it's the major difference. This physical realm, you didn't create it. Well, unless you create a chair or you build something, or you could say you created that. But you created it from the existing reality that God creates, maintains, and exists. So you got the universe, the planet, the trees that grow, you cut them down, you make chairs out of them, whatever the case may be. But this particular reality, the body, the physical body, life itself, all of these things are created by God. And you have to deal with them. And this physical reality that we live in on planet Earth, the ruler of this particular realm is Shiva, or Satan in Christianity. And there's opposition to you, but only opposition to you if you're trying to become one with God. If you're not trying to become one with God, then this reality realm is not a difficult place. It's a very enjoyable place. You get all the power, the money, and all the sex, and all the things that a coarse, boulderized individual wants to do. So when you go to bed at night, every night, think about it, every day, whatever it is you do during the day, you get to test yourself and how good how powerful you are, how finer you are, because in your dreams, the difference is you're creating that reality, not God. Now, that might be facetious to say that, because you could say, well, everything is God. Yeah, but your dream is not a thing. It's not, in open quotes, a thing. Your dream is what you're creating. Jesus inferred that we're all gods, and even Buddha spoke of you are God, and so many different enlightened masters throughout the ages have indicated that you're God in one way or another. And of course, that's widely misunderstood. But in essence, you are a God. And why? Because you create the reality that you are dreaming in. And in your reality that you're dreaming in, you don't feel the pain and suffering of exhaustion and tiredness because you don't have a coarse body. You can fly, for instance. You can do whatever it is you want to do in your dreams. As you get older and you become closer to God, etc., 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 in your dreams, you'll find yourself having power, having control in those dreams, rather than being a victim. For instance, if you're a victim in this reality and you don't have any power and you don't exercise any self-respecting powers to control yourself, then in your dreams, you're a victim. You are left to the whims of whatever's happening because you're creating that reality based upon this reality. Sorry about that. You're creating your reality based upon this reality. And if you don't have any control in this reality, you don't have any control in that reality. If you have control in this reality, you'll have more control in that reality. As you get older in age and you are constantly striving to become one with God, you'll find that in your dreams at night, even though you don't remember them. For instance, do this as a experiment. So when you are starting to wake up in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, 6, whatever time you get up in the morning, as you're just starting to wake up, remember your dreams, attempt to remember your dreams. In almost every circumstance, you will remember your dream. You'll remember it, and then within 15 minutes, you'll start to forget it. And in an hour, you probably will forget every single detail of your dreams. But what you won't forget is what you're thinking as you're remembering your dream in the morning. You could write it down, of course, and then try to remember it. Some people do that. But I'm not so concerned about that kind of stuff. What I'm concerned about is for you to learn what your dreams are. So for instance, if you think you're doing a good job, you think you're progressing, you think your spirit is getting stronger, pay attention to your dreams when you just wake up in the morning and think about the dream that you were just having and think about it in terms of, was I in control of in that dream or was I not? And when I say in control, in other words, maybe you were having fun in the dream. Maybe you were subjected to opportunities to be evil or whatever, and you chose you chose not to be. What you're going to remember in the first few minutes when you're waking up is, hey, yeah, I'm satisfied that I was in control in my dream. I'm satisfied that I made the right choices in my dream, that I was not just a victim of whatever was taking place, or vice versa. And if it's vice versa, meaning you didn't have any control, recognize that. So an hour after you woke up, you may not remember the dream, but what you will remember is that I was not in control and I'm not satisfied, or I was in control and I am satisfied. These are indications that you are either on the right path or on the wrong path. Do you need to pay more attention to taking control in your physical life? Are you satisfied? All these things will play out in your dreams at night. And you're creating it. Remember, you're creating your dream. And a lot of times in your dream, for instance, you won't know what other people are thinking. Well, you're creating the NPCs in your own dream. It is possible, of course, to meet other sovereign souls, other sovereign essences in your dream. It is possible. And it's possible that you wouldn't know the difference between them and a NPC that you created on your own. And the reason you can't understand the thinking of some of the people in your dream is because they're not thinking. They're just NPCs. You created them. You can't understand something that's not understandable. And if you create something that is understandable, then you can't understand it. It's an NPC. It's a do nothing. It's just a placeholder. You're creating them. Now, here's a widely misunderstood concept in dreams. Dreams do not take time. Dreams do not exist within the realm of time. They don't take time. Now, people would think that they do take time because, well, I was asleep for 6 hours and I dreamed and I dreamed and I dreamed, and that was a 6-hour dream. No, it was a 0-hour dream. It took 0 time to dream it. Here is the misunderstood reason why people don't understand that. It kind of ties in with the concept of Einstein's theory of relativity also. And what I mean by that is, so your soul, your essence or whatever, is tied to this physical body that is existing in time. So when you're asleep at night, it's still tied to the physical body. You know, some people say it's a golden thread or whatever the case may be, that it's always tied to you regardless of whether it's lucid dreaming or anything else. And so you are connected to the reality of time here in the physical body. But your soul, your essence, when in dreams, it is not connected to time because it's already connected to time here. So you may think, oh, well, it took 6 hours in that dream. Well, no, because your dream is independent of time. It can go back in time, it can go forward in time, it can speed up time, it can do anything. And I've told you this briefly before, and I'll just touch upon it real quickly again. I had a dream, a revelation, a while ago. I don't know how long ago. How long ago? I don't even remember. 15 years ago, whatever. Anyways, I had this dream. It was a revelation where I started off kind of slow in the dream. When I say slow, I was living my life, and I lived a lifetime. I died. I reincarnated. I lived another lifetime. I died, and I was cognizant of the time that was taking place. And then it started to speed up, and I was doing it longer and longer and longer, more and more and more. And thousands of years had passed, and it was speeding up even faster. And I went to the end of a kalpa of time, trillions of years. And my experience was in real time. In other words, there was no loss of continuity between the time I started the dream and multi-trillions of years to the end of a kalpa of time. I experienced it as if it was in real time. And then when I woke up, it was just shocking to me when I woke up from that revelation, because I was back here, and yet I have the experience of living for trillions of years into the future and meeting God and everything else, because it took place in zero time. Time is not a factor in your dreams or revelations because you're already tied to this physical body. Does that make sense? I don't know if it makes sense, but it's like quantum, if you will. It's having two things occupying the same space and time, so to say, and in your dream, your awareness is able to, shall I say, revert to the awareness of Brahman. In other words, you're not tied to time or space or anything like that. And your awareness is able, since you are a God anyways, you're able to create these things. When I say you're a God, what I'm referring to is you and I, assuming you're not an NPC, you and I have been on this path for billions and billions and billions and billions of years. I don't know, it's possible that we evolved on some other planet over billions of years. Who knows? That I don't know. What I do know is, from my own experience in my revelation, is time extends forward from right here now, trillions of years still. So don't be so, I won't say the word ambitious because you should be ambitious, but don't be anxious. Don't be so frustrated that you're not making progress at the speed you want, because you have trillions of years to go. So yeah, don't worry about it. I've said this to a lot of people, that I hope they have faith in what I tell them, because I say things like, they're frustrated and they think, oh, I'm so unsatisfied with my life. I feel like I'm a failure, and all these things. And what I try to tell them is, and I'm not just patting them on the back and shining them on. I'm not just going, well, you'll be okay, knowing that you're not going to be okay. I'm not doing that. I've seen the future, trillions of years into the future. So when I tell you Don't worry. You're on the right path. You're going to be one with God. What I don't like to get into too deeply is saying things like, and I do say it, but I don't like saying it, is, sorry, you're not going to accomplish the things that you want to in this particular lifetime. You've got too many things to do, too many things to accomplish, too many proclivities, too many things that you're not doing correctly, blah, 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 blah. You've got multiple lifetimes before you become enlightened. You've got multiple lifetimes before you are at a level where you can sit down basically and reflect upon yourself and go, yeah, I'm very happy with the progress I'm making. Because a lot of you are not happy. A lot of you are very frustrated and thinking, God, I'm never going to make it. I hate this. This is so frustrating. That's okay. That's part of the process. I get it that it's frustrating. I get it that it's hard. I get it that it's not fun. But I've seen the future. The reality is, you listen to me, you talk to me. The reality is you feel unsatisfied. The reality is you feel like you're a failure. That is exactly what you should be feeling if you're on the right path. If you're not on the right path, you're not going to have those feelings. Does that make sense? In other words, if you're on the path to becoming one with Shiva or Satan, then you're going to feel differently. In other words, if you read the scriptures and you go to church and you're whatever, you might feel like a failure if you want to become one with Satan. But if you want to become one with God and you are engaged in sinful practice and this and that, and you're going, God dang it, it's frustrating. I'm so unhappy with myself. I'm a damned failure. Well, you're recognizing that what your weaknesses are because you are on the path to becoming one with God. And in your dreams at night, because you feel frustrated and because you're unhappy with your progress, in your dreams at night, you're able to put those frustrations and everything to use to strengthen your spirit. Because as you strengthen your spirit in your dreams at night, you're able to strengthen your existence here on this plane of existence. The dream and the physical reality are both as real as the other, and they work in union with each other. It's like daytime, go to sleep, dream. Daytime, go to sleep, dream. It's like a piston that goes up and down on your car. It can't just go up and stop and that's the way it is. It has to come back down and then go back up. Dreams are an extension of your daytime existence. That's what they are. Okay, one other thing I want to touch upon, however, as much as I feel that this is the truth that I'm going to tell you, I don't have any inside information from God as to timelines and time frames. What I'm talking about is maybe some of you have watched or seen or whatever the issues with the 12,000 year cycle of the sun, where like 99.99% of humans die on the planet every 12,000 years. And this has been going on for, I don't know. Who knows how long? Millions of years? I don't know. But that is the cycle. And we're fastly approaching, in my opinion, I'm saying opinion, we're fastly approaching that cycle where do you know that the North Pole, if you look at the North Pole, the magnetic North Pole, it is moving at a rate of like, God, I don't recall, several miles per month. It's moving hundreds of feet a day. It's like, and it's been doing that for a decade, and it's going up at an exponential rate, the speed of the magnetic field that is changing on the planet Earth, which is causing the aurora borealis to come down further and further into the south. But it's like the aurora borealis isn't coming down further. It has always stayed in the North Pole region. But if the North Pole is changing, it would appear that the aurora borealis is expanding itself, when in fact it isn't expanding itself. It may be even more prevalent because we're losing our magnetosphere, and it isn't shielding us from the solar radiation like it used to. One reason I'm bringing it up is because even today the national weather whatever in the United States says, oh, don't go out in the sun today around noontime if you're in the southern regions like Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and stuff like that, because the UV radiation chart that basically was created, 70 years ago, had the highest radiation level of 11 on the scale. It didn't go above 11. Scientifically, of course, it can go above, but for practical purposes, it ended at 11. Well, today you're going to be hitting probably 13, 14 on the scale, which is beyond the limits of the scale that was created 70 years ago. And that's because it's getting more intense as time goes by. People are having indigestion problems, and their bowels are screwed up, and heart attacks, and well, you can attribute it to food or this or that or whatever, but you can also attribute it to the cause and effect of what is taking place as we're approaching that 12,000 year cycle, where essentially the shit's going to hit the fan, and things are not going to be good. I'm just telling you that because just be aware. It has always happened. It's no big deal. It is no big deal. It's like I've been trying to say to other people that would fear death, for instance. Why would you fear going to sleep at night? Every day you're awake, you go to sleep at night, and you leave this, your awareness leaves this physical realm and into another one. So if you die in this physical realm, I mean, sure, it's not fun to die a painful death, and hopefully none of us do, but if and when you do, it's just like going to sleep at night. There's no loss of consciousness. There's no loss of awareness. You just go to the other realm, and then you reappear maybe back to this realm, or maybe you're done with this particular realm. It's like Buddha said, I don't think I'm ever coming back to this physical realm. And Jesus is in the same boat, And because this is a difficult reality to exist in, but it's an extremely necessary one. I didn't drink a lot of coffee, but it would appear that I did because I'm talking so much and fast. But I think it's really important, these things that I'm bringing up, and that's why I'm bringing them up. Lastly, I created a video last week, but I never published it. So maybe I'll publish that one first, and then this one right after that one. So that would be the reason two of them might appear. Or maybe I'll take this particular video and post it to not come up until Saturday or something like that. Maybe that's what I'll do. Anyways, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your prayers. I appreciate your friendship more than anything else, because your friendship is eternal. It isn't just here. It is trillions of years. It is infinity of years. It is forever. And that is like unbelievably valuable to both you and I to have friendship. And I love you for that. I eternally love you for that. And I hope and pray that your lives are doing well, that maybe you can avoid some of the pitfalls that I had to go through. But I understand that you probably may have to go through them. Either way, I love you and I hope you have a good day, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.